Alright. Tower Powers Battlefront tier list. So I'm gonna be going over some of the playable things and in my opinion ranking them from S to F, obviously. Alright, so first up we're gonna go with the zombies. We have the normal. The normal is normal. There's really nothing else to say about it. Let's put him in... I'll put him in B for now. Next up is the Speedy. Now the Speedy, I love this thing. It's so good. But it's only good for early game and stuff. And it gets not that good later. So I'm going to put him up to here. Fight me if you fight me all you want. I like Speedy. Next up is the Slow. Now the Slow, this thing's really only good for attacking patrols and that's it. Let's put him in... I'm gonna put him in D. I don't like the Slow that much. Next up is King Boss 1. King Boss 1 is... it's actually not that bad actually. I'm gonna put him up to here because I still prefer Lord 1 over King 1. Next up is Lord 1. Mr. Appleman. So, Lord 1. The fire damage is good, stealth is good. It can actually get you pretty far. I like this guy a lot, so I'm gonna put him up here with the S. Next up is Boss 1. Right here. Boss 1 is a good thing for starters and stuff. I wouldn't reuse it on my own time. I don't really like it either, because we still have King 1 and Lord 1 up here. So I'm gonna put Boss 1 actually down here with normal over here. I do remember using Boss 1. It was good to use because I didn't really have anything else. Next up is the Hidden. Now the Hidden, it's kinda good. It's about as much as a Speedy. This guy is amazing. I really recommend using it. I'm actually gonna put him up here with Lord 1. Next up is the Mystery. Now, Mystery wasn't really that interesting before the big update that I had with him where he spawned in event things. So now it's over here spawning in like witches and hidden guardians and whatnot. So that I would have put him down here with C, but not because of that. I'm gonna bring him up to B. Next up is the Necromancer. Now the Necromancer, this guy, is also really good. You can get a whole lot of money with him just by sitting in one spot spamming supporters. I'm gonna put him up here, up to A, just for that. Next up is King 2. Now King 2, this guy's really good in short maps, small maps, everything else like that. But he's not very good with the longer maps because he's so slow. So that kind of puts him over here with the B. Next up is Lord 2. Lord 2, the same thing as King 2, except he has a lot more health and does a lot more damage. So just for that, he goes up one more. Next up is boss 2. Now boss 2 is the exact same. I wouldn't really use it, so I'm just gonna put him down here with slow because we have these two guys. Next up is lightning. So the lightning, it's a good all around zombie. It's good for getting some quick cash and whatnot. It's really fast in the longer maps too, so you can really get around the place. But I don't really use them that often, so I'm gonna put them down here with the C. Next up is hidden boss. I'm just realizing I skipped lava. I'll get to him later. So the hidden boss, this guy, he's kind of useless. So, sorry hidden boss. Next up we have the lava. This is the old lava because I only have the older pictures now. I didn't really bother to get the newer ones. So the lava, this guy's really only good for attacking void traders and stuff. Not really anything else. Goes down there with D. Next up is King Hidden Boss. So King Hidden Boss, this guy, he gets shredded by vehicle towers because he doesn't really, can't really fight back from them. And he's also really slow, so sorry King Hidden. Lord Hidden Boss. This guy, I don't really like this guy because he's about the same thing as King Hidden Boss, but the disguise ability is what really gives him the more interesting to it. So, but Lord Hidden though, I don't really know about it. I'm just gonna put it down here. Next up is Super Slow. Super Slow. This guy sucks. He sucks. But I would put him with F. But he's about as much as Lightning up here because he's fast and does a lot of damage. Next up is Mystery 2. This guy, amazing. I love this guy after this new update. So that's an easy S tier right there. Next up is King Boss 3. So King Boss 3, I don't really know about him. He's kind of like the Lightning, but he's also like King Hidden. Like he's good, but also useless at the same time. I'm gonna put him over here with D with Lord Hidden. Next up is Lord Boss 3. This guy, I know we all like this guy, but I would put him up here with the A tier. But his one downfall is that he gets dead really fast. So that kind of puts him down here with the B's. Next up is Boss 3. Boss 3 is kind of like King Boss 3. There's really no difference. But he has less health, so there you go. Next up is King Boss 4. This guy is an all-around good zombie, so I'm gonna put him up to here. Next up is Lord 4. Lord 4, I love using this guy. He's like Boss 4, but a whole lot more, so I'm gonna put him to here, the S tier, obviously. Next up is Boss 4. Boss 4, I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're a new player. But I don't really like it that much, so I'm going to put him over here with a D. Next up is Necromancer Boss. This guy right here is an easy A tier. Next up is Guardian. So the Guardian, it sucks. I'm sorry. He goes to F tier. This guy is terrible. Next up is Boss 5. So Boss 5 is like Boss 3, but it's better. So I'm just gonna put him up here with a D, just because of that. It's kind of like a little step up. Next up is Planet Earth. Planet Earth used to be pretty bad, but now they did a big old update to it. He has a whole new stuff to it. That gives him an easy S tier. Next up is Void Supporter. Void Supporter is like Boss, is like Lord 4, but it's smaller and faster. And not to mention fire resistance, so easy S tier right there. Now here's the Witch. The Witch is pretty much immune to everything. The Witch is... It's what gets you your money in the pre-King 2 stuff. But it gets killed fast by Plasma Trooper and Flamethrower, so I'm gonna keep it up here with D. B. Next up is Eternal Jack. This guy, I'm gonna be honest, this guy needs at least like a resistance to something. He dies way too fast. Even sure you can say that the revive thing is good, but it's really not. So I'll put him up here with D. So this next part is things that I don't own myself. So I'm just gonna be grading them on how they look like they do. So first up is Expired Jack. Expired Jack, I don't see it that often, but he dies really fast. Like really fast. So I'll put him over here with E. Next up is the Demon. I've seen this guy a lot. People are always talking about how they got so much money from using him. It seems like a good zombie too. So I'm gonna put him over here with B. Alright, Titan. Titan, this guy needs a buff. Like, he really needs a buff. He dies really fast and he's so slow. Like, you can't really do anything with this guy from what I've seen. So I'm putting him over here with F. Next up is Ice Marauder. Why is he so big? Okay, next up is Ice Marauder. Ice Marauder, this guy looks like this gameplay for this guy. It looks so useful. Because you can do like 6,000 damage from one ability. And he's after, I believe, King Hidden. So that really makes it like a really early game. Gets you a lot of money from what I'm guessing. So I'd put him up here with S. Noob God, I don't own this guy, but it looks like a lot of fun to play with. So Noob God, it's small, it has a lot of abilities, and it does a lot of damage. So I'm gonna put him over here with A. So this next category is towers. There's a lot of towers in the game, and I have opinions for each and every one of them. Except for the ones I don't own, of course. First up is Scout. Scout is the starting tower, but ever since Enforcer came out, that kinda just... This guy's all in the dirt now. But I'm gonna put him over here with C. Next up is Sniper. This guy, I used to use this guy to solo a lot. It was really good. So I'm gonna put him over here with B. Soldier. This guy, he's really not that good in public servers, but once you get into a VIP server and you use this guy, it really shows how good he is. But just because of the thing that he's not very good in public servers, I'm gonna put him down here with D. Tuber. Tuber is another thing I used to do a lot of solos with. Tuber is okay, but it's not the best. So I'm gonna put him over here with B as well. Shotgunner. This guy's underrated. Like really underrated. He's good for getting rid of the zombie players from what I've seen. But that's really about it. So goes over here with Scout. Because he's really not good for anything else. Plasma Trooper. Plasma Trooper is okay. It's kind of like Phaser, but a lot of the enemies aren't immune to him. So because of that, I'm putting him over here with A. Railgunner. Railgunner is also really good. So that's an easy S tier right here. Mortar. Mortar is... it's not the best. So it's kind of just like Tuber, so I'm just gonna put it over here with Tuber. Phaser. This guy, he gets overshadowed a lot by Plasma Trooper and Railgunner and stuff. But because a lot of enemies are immune to him, it makes him pretty useless. So that gives him down to D tier. Mercenary. Mercenary is... it's okay, but I wouldn't reuse it. So he goes in a C. Flamethrower. Flamethrower is also really overshadowed by not that many things, but you don't really see him that often anymore, aside from all the low levels using him. But because in a hard mode, he kind of like buffs every enemy ever, that puts him down here with the B. But aside from everything else, he's a pretty good tower. Fragger. This guy sucks. That's it. Commando. Commando is kind of like a buffed mercenary. Commando has a high fire rate and high damage. You actually do a Triumphant Classics era with just this guy. I've seen it before. So I'm putting him over here with A. Aviator. Aviator wasn't really that good, but then since the new update that just came out recently, that made him a little bit better. I would have put him down here with D, but I'm gonna put him up here with C now. Archer. Archer is kind of like Marksman, but you don't really have to go for headshots. The one downfall is that the fire damage, and with the same thing with Flamethrower, it buffs up all the enemies in hard mode and whatnot. So I'm gonna put him over here with A. He would be an S tier though. Cryo Gunner. Cryo Gunner is cheap, and a lot of new players and low levels use him. He would be an F, but he does a lot. He does really good with his freezing and stuff, so he's gonna go up one more. Golden Scout. Golden Scout is okay. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. The speed is what really gives the upper hand here. So I'm gonna put him over here with B. Golden Commando. Golden Commando is an easy A tier. He would be an S tier, but he gets targeted a lot and you can't move as him. Knifer. Knifer gets overshadowed by Enforcer a lot. If Enforcer wasn't around, then I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot more Knifers running around too. The one thing that makes Knifer so good is his invisibility thing. I would put him with the B, but because of that, he goes up to A. Doctor. Doctor is also okay, but you don't really get to do much with him. You just run around healing all your teammates. I guess that's pretty fun, but it gets boring after a while. So I'll put him down here with C. Commander. You don't see this guy that much anymore. But the one thing that makes him so good is that he speeds up all the other towers. He has the airstrike thing. He has his own gun too. And he summons the striker. So that's 3 abilities in one tower. So that goes up to S tier as well. Next up is Enforcer. Enforcer is the new Knifer, basically. The one downfall is that he can't solo King 1, unlike Knifer. But the one thing that does make him better than Knifer is he does a lot of splash damage, and the shocking thing that stuns the zombies too. But I'm gonna put him up to B. Cause he doesn't have that much health. He does have 2 lives and stuff, but that's not really that much. Next up is Marksman. Marksman is amazing. I love using this guy. He's so good. But it's only good if you can get headshots. Other than that, the damage is pretty minimal. And he gets abused by hidden and mysteries and all the other stuff. But because he does so much damage if you can actually get your headshots, that's an easy S tier. Golden Zed. Golden Zed, I'm not actually going to put into the S tier. And I have a good explanation why. Because, sure, Gold Zed can get you a solo and stuff, but at the same time, Gold Zed is very vulnerable to freezing and being slowed down and boss 2s and all that other stuff. And as well as it gets targeted a lot by the zombie players as well. So if you're playing around as Gold Zed, you're going to get targeted and stuff, you're going to get completely bullied and abused. So because of that, I'm going to put him over here to A. Next up is Exterminator, not Phaser. Exterminator, it's kind of like Gold Zed, but it's stationary. At the same time, it's so slow. Once you die, you're not going back. You're just done. It's really not that much use as soon as you're maxed out, unless you can get somewhere to where you can actually use it. Then you can actually do your damage and stuff. So I'm putting over the B. Patrol is okay. It's not the best, but I'm gonna put him down with D. Next up is Zed. The default Zed it's okay. It doesn't really get attacked that much, and it does some good damage, so I'm gonna put it right up here with Gold Zed. Void Trader is really popular. The one problem with Void Trader is that it gets targeted a lot, and it has a 4 tower limit. So there can only be 4 Void Traders out there. So that leaves a lot of other people ending up losing like 4,000 of their cash or so. So I'm gonna put them down there with C. So this next part is stuff that I don't own, but I'm gonna be basing them off of how effective they look like they are. First up is Halloween Commando. Halloween Commando is just Commando, but Halloween. That's it. So there. Next up is Hollow Boomer. Hollow Boomer, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either from what I've seen. But all you people that own Hollow Boomer, you can tell me otherwise, but it doesn't look like it's that good. So I'm gonna put him over here with C. Eyes Apprentice. This guy looks like he does so good. He freezes a lot of enemies, he has the Blizzard ability and the Ice Meteor, so that gives him an S tier. Next up is Huntsman. Huntsman, it's fast. It's kind of like Golden Scout if you gave it a machine gun. But the one problem that I see with Huntsman is that it gets one tapped a lot. So that kind of balances it out. But I'm gonna put it up here with the A tier. Tweeter is a Gold Scout, but less gold. It's kind of like the Gold Scout, but I would put it in here with the Gold Scout. But the one thing that makes it more is that it gets money per wave. So I'm gonna put him up here with A. Planet Tower. This guy only shows up in cursed mode. That's about it. I would put him up here with these guys, but he only shows up in one game mode at all. So get mad at me all you want. Thanos also only shows up in curse mode. It's the exact same as Planet. Fight me. Fight me. I'm putting these guys in F tier. That about does it for this video. Feel free to argue with me in the comments about my decisions, because I'd like to know your feedback, because I don't know how Isoprentins, Hollow Boomer, Halloween Commando, Huntsman, or Crowd Gunner gameplay actually is. So if someone wants to enlighten me on that, go ahead. If you don't like what I did with Planet or Thanos, go ahead. So I'll see you later.